Hello, this is Group 5 from Hip Hop Philosophers. My name is Kelsey.
I'm Jeanette.
I'm Celia.
And I'm Molly.
Okay, today we're going to be discussing week 2 of Philosophy 16. First, would we like to go over a brief introduction of the Rousseau reading? Yes?
Yeah.
Yes!
Yes.
Okay.
Could any of us say our last names because we're supposed to?
Oh crap.
Oh, really?
Lebel.
Liang.
Jaquez.
Hill!
Take 2!
Okay. So, the Rousseau reading this week, we covered a lot of topics having to do with philosophy, including self-love and self-preservation.
Education.
Yeah. Just growing up, basically.
Coming full circle, being like birth to life. Personal growth.
Choices, attitude.
Adult stuff.
Moving on. I think that we could better use our time connecting the Rousseau readings as we go song by song through the discussion. Agreed, teammates?
I concur.
Alright.
Alright, so in Black Diamonds and Pearls by Blackalicious, we're gonna start talking from verse 2 where the whole overall song talks about growing up, and it's about a guy, and he has 2 sisters and a mother, and his first sister has a child, and usually going through life and growing up, it's a hard thing, and it's difficult, but his sister having a baby actually brought light into her life, and the quote, she found a blessing in the struggle through her first child. So instead of it being a bad thing, having a child at a young age when she still needs to go to school and has to also provide for a child, there's light in that situation as well.
I focused on the confession in verse 3, where it says, worst part that breaks the young man's heart is he's the one that's supplying it. He feels like he's trapped now. I forgot the quotes. He's talking about how he's supplying drugs to his mom, even though she is a child, his little sister who's in preschool. But he admits that, which is like half the battle, and then the second half is he goes into what he's going to do to basically make amends and take responsibility for what he's done. And that quote is, guess he's got to be the home's only man now, left the life alone and got a whole other plan now, stacked enough to put her in rehab, found work and got a GED, his sister's in his hands now. And that's just like a huge thing, because he's going from selling drugs to being like, all right, I'm basically going to be a dad to my little sister because I took away her only parent. And I don't know, that gave me some respect for him. And like it also made me think more highly of him because he could just like stop doing something, take responsibility for it, and even like be a caretaker for another person's life, his mother's, and that like makes him a better son, a better sister/brother to his sister, and yeah.
And so to sort of tie to everything that she said, in connections with the Rousseau reading. He states that a child is pure up until the point that the consciousness of his relations to others is awakened and leads to the sense of duties and preferences. And in the Black Diamonds and Pearls, he begins to question, where is dad now? Guess he's got to be the home's only man now, so he has to take on responsibilities that daddy wasn't there to cover, when mom's in rehab, and that's when I feel like his childhood turns into adulthood, and now he has to take on the responsibility of being the father figure to his little sister.
And when the speaker crosses this threshold of adulthood into adulthood from childhood, he makes a call to action to the young people who are going through the struggle, saying, this is your chance, come on, at the very end of the song. And so, in conclusion, this song kind of has an optimistic message about progress and attitude, that personal growth and crossing those thresholds into the next part of your life is all about attitude, and that accepting these obligations and responsibilities in your life will foster personal growth if you have the right kind of mentality about it.
On to the next song, The Coop by Not Yet Free, which I'm going to have to do a little throwback to last week. The Coop from that one song was talking about prostitutes and pimps. Not what's happening here. So, not sure about what we said last week, Jeanette. I think we might have been wrong.
It's spelled different.
Oh.
It's C-O-O-P and then C-O-O-P.
Oh, that's, yeah, because I thought it was cops. Alright, my bad. I drove last night. Anyway, so, community relations is what I'm going to be talking about in relation to this song. The Coop is the cage, prison / hole, not great place, name for Oakland. Oakland is that cage, that coop. It's an extremely lower income place to live, very, very poor neighborhood, which creates a very dangerous amount of desperation. And desperation leads to people being a lot looser with their morals, not following their moral compass, which is when lying and cheating and stealing and violence all become more normalized and therefore more widely accepted or expected, at least. No one's surprised that, you know, you come home and say, I stole some shit from someone's car. And so because of that loose morality within society, it bleeds into the children of society, and the line between child and adult is blurred, because suddenly you have, it's not only, oh, I sell drugs and that's okay, that's normal to grow up and sell drugs, it's also normal to say, oh, you know what I could do to expand my business is go find a couple 12-year-olds and make them sell drugs and get them into the life. And it becomes this like vicious circle of badness. And those children are seen as pawns rather than something to protect in nature. So it's such a like animalistic situation where it's like, you know, basically eating your young, like, but with drugs.
So this song also talks about the relationship between suffering and pleasure, and we as human beings don't want or like to be in pain, so we find something that contrasts it. And in the quote, capitalism is like a spider, the web is getting tighter, I'm struggling like a fighter, just to bust loose, it's like a noose, I can't say that word, but when I think it's, just when I think I'm free, it seems to be, to me, the spider steps in. The web is made of money, made of greed, made of me. So capitalism is something that people chose to follow, and when he says the web is made of money, made of greed, made of me, he's saying that people are basically creating or following this idea that creates suffering, but they don't stop because they choose to follow that.
Yeah. Going off of that, this song really elaborates on the sources of suffering that were mentioned in the lecture. The 3 sources of suffering are from the body, the external world, and communal relations. So capitalism, like Celia mentioned, would be either external world or relations, and these are often the most troublesome of all of our sources of suffering. There are also 3 ways to alleviate suffering, and those are through deflection, substituent satisfaction, and intoxication.
And here I go tying it back to the Rousseaury. There's a line that says, thugs, dope dealers, and pimps, rap stars and simps, that's what little black boys are made of. Sluts, hoes, and press and naps around your neck. Bitches stay in check, that's what black girls are made of. What can we do to change us? The oppressor tries to tame us. I feel like what it's trying to say, like it's trying to change the stereotypes imposed on the younger generation, so that it can somehow return to the stage of like where their mind is still pure, but yet they're calling these children, you know, all these disrespectful names. And so the change here is going from this corrupted state of mind to the pure and innocent mind that the children have. But, I mean, we can't do it anymore.
Next, we are going to cover Goody Mob's I Refuse limitation. First, I'm going to talk about the context of urban life and how the song talks about it. A couple of the lyrics in the opening verse of this song says that a lot of us fall victim to it. We get caught up in the mix. We can't run from reality. This kind of personifies living in the hood or a city atmosphere as being trapped. The chorus says that the speaker is suffering from a severe case of inner city blues, end quote, and he can't just settle for these streets. So in terms of community relations, this shows that the speaker sees the city and all the things that urban life brings with it as a very limiting factor that a lot of people fall victim to.
And one of those limitations would be people who are considered to be in the minority. And in Celia's verse of this song, he talks about how most of them don't get to don't get their high school diploma or any college degrees, so they fall victim to this unequal economy. And because they're the minority, they're also seen differently. So when it comes to crimes and just when cops see them as bad people. So he quotes, "I knew he would have killed me if I didn't do it. If I did anything but freeze." So people in the minority tend to get stopped by law enforcement more often than others do. So that's one of the limitations we have in this song.
I'm going to talk about fear, or just different versions of fear, basically. For instance, in Backbone's verse, he actually confesses, "I control the substance my people fiend for at night. Lord knows I do wrong." But he's doing that out of a fear of death or lying, because it then relates, because it goes on to say, sound like the same old song, a lot of niggas singing, homeboys, conceal your weapons, because it ain't gonna be no smoking sessions in heaven, as though he's trying to say, I'm not gonna act like I don't do anything wrong, because if I ever get caught, I'm going to give it in, because they don't want to die. There's a fear of death, of being caught by the police. In the rest of that verse, at the end it says, "Swats GA by the way of Cascade Heights, gunshots, roadblocks, sidewalks and ice." So fear of the danger of the game, but he obviously still wants to be in it. In Timo's section, he talked about his city losing its tough rep, went from hardcore to begging like a bitch, and how cool is more, what used to be cool is now more stupid or degenerate looking, when he says, "Better think faster, get swept off your feet. Nigga, it hurts to see these drugs deteriorate the minds of knuckleheads that want to be base heads." Just saying oh, well, it used to be cool, we're going to run around doing drugs, but now it's you're a degenerate, it's deteriorating your brain, you're an idiot. And in Celo's section, he talks about being scared of not being a good enough father, but also more to the point, not even a good enough man, because in his, if you read through the whole section, he talks about how he doesn't want to get paid minimum wage, so he goes back to, slinging shit in the streets and stealing shit, and he ends up in jail, and it becomes his woman's responsibility to be, gotta take on the man's responsibility, because he can't even do his own shit, which is sad.
And again, I think that this is a cycle in most minority groups, especially in Oakland. It's a cycle. We still have people at minimum wage jobs. We still have parents at minimum wage jobs. There's a couple lines that said, these minimum wages ain't enough to feed my babies. Purposely, these limitations on black folks' opportunities. So I quit because I'm tired of being one of those overworked, underpaid employees. So I mean, he has children, he has a family to take care of. Eventually these children are gonna grow up and they are gonna start to realize, you know, like, my daddy or my mommy are working these underpaid jobs, but yet some of these kids grow up to do the same thing, and I feel like it's a cycle. You're born, you become aware, and you follow in your parents' footsteps. And I mean, there's an opportunity to get out of it, but the way the system is set up, it's just really messed up. And I mean, you just have to try to set a good example for yourself, for your children, for your friends, for anybody, for your family members, and hopefully they can see the positive outcome of you actually trying to get out of your situation.
Okay, thank you. Up next, we are doing Most Steps Dollar Day, aka the Katrina Clap. This song obviously is about a narrative about aggression toward the government over its handling of Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans and its treatment of black people. Most Def in his song says the government has treated the people lower than trash. In this song, we find that the relations from a government between its people is often the most painful. And to quote Rousseau, society is a tool we have created to protect ourselves from unhappiness, yet it is our largest source of unhappiness. So basically, this song is a voice for Hurricane Katrina. And moving on to Jeanette.
And well, it's pretty much what I took out was unequal distribution of money in this nation. We're fighting wars all around the world, but yet the taxes that are taken from us here in the United States are being used somewhere else. Talks about systematic oppression. There's a quote as well. The line said, "They got killians to waste on war and make you question what the taxes is for. The cost to reinforce the broke leaving wall." I mean, they can't even fix problems here, but yet they're over there wasting the money somewhere else. And we can see it. We can see it in the South. We can see it. Well, there's different classes. You have the working class. You have the middle class. You have the lower class. It's unequal distribution. I mean.
So in hard times like these, many people tend to turn to religion to alleviate suffering and pain. And it was said that religion is compensation for pleasure loss, excuse me. And so in this song, the name God was repeated multiple times, and it says, "God, God, God, save our soul," and "God save these streets," and yeah, people just want to look towards something, positive in these hard times.
Most Def is using this song to give the people of New Orleans a voice. It's about empowering people who have just lost everything. It's about hope. It's about satisfying the hope of being heard, in this case heard by the government. Most Def wants to get the government to give New Orleans the help, attention, and voice it deserves, especially after such a tragedy. Just the fact that they're in trouble, they should be getting help, and the fact that they didn't because of the type of area that it was and the type of people that it was made it all the more not just inhumane, but insulting and just rude. It was rude. I don't know a better word than that. and it was a seemingly pointless, and it is a seemingly pointless endeavor because like the government isn't necessarily going to listen to what a rapper has to say or change their mind, like they're money grubbing, busy doing whatever for other parts of the country. But he did it anyway, knowing that it was probably pointless, knowing that he wasn't likely going to get like them to do everything that he wanted. And in that way, it ties us back to last week with Sisyphus, because he was doing a pointless task, but he was doing it basically all because he tried to get his people water and acted like an idiot. But in this case, just because he was trying to get his people like some help from FEMA and shit like that, and money, which is great.
Alright, next up, I believe we are doing Just to Get By.
By Tali Quilly. So I feel like this song ties everything that can alleviate suffering, or what was talked about in class is attempts to alleviate suffering through powerful deflections, substitutive satisfaction, and intoxicating substances, and like the forms are used, all of these forms are used in this song, or described in the song, because I feel like the suffering is really that bad that you need all three forms just to shift your attention somewhere else, or find pleasure elsewhere.
You're doing deflection.
Yes. Sorry. I was thinking of some smart. Yeah, I was deflecting away from this. I can't do this, you guys. Put it away. This isn't even a mirror. That would like. Oh, that's reflective. Okay, that was dumb. Anyway, so obviously people are deflecting because they don't want to deal with something, or they want to put something on someone else. In this case, deflection is a way to alleviate suffering by thinking about something else entirely, aka distraction, aka TV for me. I don't know about you guys. Like some oranges that make me laugh. Yeah. Anyway, like we're like turning like rappers. Like I start talking like that in videos. Anyway, okay, I can't say the verse, but when it says second row of reading in our thing because there's no verses. It's easy to pull a breezy smoke trees, and we stay drunk. Yo, your activism attacking the system, the blacks and the Latins in prison, number of prison, they victim, black in the visions, shit, and all they got is rapping to listen to. That's distraction through drugs and being bad people and going to jail and still being gangy, and gangy is a word, right? That's a word. And then later, like 6 lines down from that, not the ones between Venus and Mars, the ones that be reading for parts. Some people get breast enhancements and penis enlargers. Saturday sinners, Sunday morning at the feet of Father. I could not be a rapper. Basically, that is all about sex, drugs, church, and I put drugs twice because it's lots of drugs to distract them from life. So they're all addicts, basically. Go to an AA meeting. Or not. I mean, it's your life. And then at the very end of that, it says, when all you need is love, which would be just another way you become more obsessed with love instead of other things. And then the line that really got to me was to get by, ... just to get by. Because the point is, they're just trying to get from day to day. They're not thinking about like, okay, what could I do for my life that will make me happy in the future? Like, school is not as fun as getting drunk and doing crack on like 4th of July, but school will make me have a better life in the future, because they're just like, fuck today so much, I can't even, like, I just want to like do it the easiest way possible, and that's just sad.
And my part is satisfaction. So basically, as previously alluded to with the sex, drugs, and church, religion has been
and
called...
drugs. 2 drugs.
Sex, drugs, and church. Religion has been called the opiate of the masses, and this is true in Just to Get By, because with the line that says Saturday sinners, Sunday morning at the feet of the Father, we do see that religion is used as an escape, that in these neighborhoods and in these communities that have to deal with a lot of external or internal suffering, they often find something positive like a church or a system of belief to help them deflect and satisfy themselves with what's happening around them.
And lastly, we have intoxication, which is basically creating an illusion to escape displeasure. And I don't know which verse this is, but there's a quote: "Our parents sing like John Lennon. Imagine all the people watch. We rock like Paul McCartney from now until the last Beatle drop." So this is an example of intoxication because you're basically imagining that you're somewhere better than you are already.
Awesome.
So next.
Yes.
Uh,
By Too Short, which is not me. It should be. So in the ghetto, we analyze a lot about we analyze the cyclical nature of poverty and the oppressing force that we have mentioned earlier about the hood and what it can do to you. Poverty and suffering, especially in this song, appear to be intrinsically intertwined. In the opening verse, it says, "Even though the streets are bumpy, lights burned out, dope fiends die with a pipe in their mouths. Old school buddies not doing it right. Every day it's the same." It's a sequence of events that no matter what the speaker does, he opens up the song with a feeling that there is no way out.
So, this song also has, in the last verse especially, it talks about race and basically between black and white. So it starts where it says, "Blacks can't be white and whites can't be black. Why you want to act like someone else? All you gotta do is just be yourself. We're all the same color underneath. Short dogs in the house, you better listen to me. Never be ashamed of what you are. Proud to be black, stand tall at heart. Even though some people give you no respect, be intelligent when you put them in check. Because when you're ignorant, you get treated that way. And when they throw you in jail, you got nothing else to say." So basically, people have this negative image of people who live in the ghetto, and the general consensus is that whites don't live in the ghetto. And so that would mean that people who don't live in the ghetto are better off, but that's not what it really means to be living in the ghetto, because the ghetto is actually a lifestyle, and it's the lifestyle that these people choose to live in.
Going off of that, as she said, the ghetto is a specific lifestyle. The main stereotype is that everyone there is poor, but the fact of the matter is a lot of them have a lot of money, but they got it illegally, and they want to live in the ghetto. That's their territory. That land is their property. That is where their family, their gang, their whatever they want to call it, lives, runs, all of those people. So they want to sit there because if they're the king of it, they have all this money. They're buying their Air Jordans and Cadillacs covered in gold, and their gold guns and Cuban cigars and all that shit. They still want to live at home next to mama and protect her. That's how they are. They want to stay in their territory. But the thing is also that money doesn't even create security, let alone happiness for them. Because the higher the rise, the more people want to bring you down. If you're the head of the Crips and you got all this money, you can buy everything you want, but you still live in Compton, an area that isn't exactly good. You're not safe. You aren't, because the people, your rivals, are right, across the street where the Bloods live, and then right in your own neighborhood, there are people trying to take over your gang. You're constantly at war. There's no peace of mind. There's no happiness. There's no anything. And with that, we're gonna move on to the fourth verse.
To Russo once again.
She's our Russo go-to.
Oh yeah, she just loves Russo.
I just started loving him today. I didn't even know about the guy.
She loves him so much. She
So,
told me she has a crush.
Oh yeah.
Big time. Don't tell her husband.
Okay, so there's a couple lines here that, again, I feel ties back to the cycle. you're born, you go on to experiencing life, and if you grow up in a positive environment, you're brought up in a positive environment. If you don't, you're screwed. So it says, sell you stuff you might kill for. Young kids grow up and that's all they know. Didn't teach him in school, now he's slanging dope. Only thing he knows is how to survive. So, I mean, they start young. If they do. Like, I see it all the time. I live in Oakland. Like, not to be stereotypical or whatever, but yeah, it's pretty much. I'm pretty sure. Well, as children, you have parents that decide to stay in the hood, just decide to stay in the ghetto, and raise your kids in the ghetto. And you go on to having your kids, those kids go on to having their kids, and it's just a cycle. You're born into a world of poverty or drugs or violence. That's all you see. You become defensive. You start rebelling, and like you might feel threatened at times, and that's what you go on to teach your kids is okay. If you feel threatened, you need to fight, stand up for yourself. I mean, it's not a bad thing, but again, it's a sort of violence. And it's, yeah, pretty much. And we're done?
No, next
no,
up is Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang. Alright.
It's
Cream.
called-
I know, I was gonna say it.
I wanted to say cream.
Cash rules everything around me. Anyway.
I was gonna say C period, R period, E period, A period, N period, because what the hell is an abbreviation? That's not what it's called. Just to start us off, this whole song total focuses money and the youth being obsessed with money because they think money changes everything, that it can get them out of this life that they're in. They have no other choice but to make money, bitches. They make it the magical ticket, but the magical ticket out to any life they want to be in. Go to college, kids. But they soon find out that they are wrong.
And here I come. So, going off on what Ami said, here in the song it says, a man with a dream with plans to make cream, which failed. I went to jail at the age of 15, a young buck selling drugs and such who never had much, trying to get a clutch at what I could not touch. The court played me short, now I face incarceration. And again, well, I'm not supposed to tie it back to Rousseau on this one, but I will. It's like, as a child, you have dreams, you have goals, and, well, you might just look at the TV or a fireman, like on the street, like, oh, I want to be a fireman when I grow up. Oh, I want to be this, I want to be that. But then when you get to a certain age, you start becoming aware of, like, the financial hardships your family might face, or they're struggling, and you realize that, it's not as easy as just, as you thought it would be. And so you try to find the quickest way to get there, and pretty much it's just, you turn to a life full of crimes just to get the fast money. And even if at the moment, you're getting money, it's ruling everything, and you're happy, you're satisfied at that moment, eventually if it's dirty money, you're gonna end up getting caught up. And that's what is not the nice part about money.
So building off of the whole ghetto growing up too fast, this song, it says, I went to jail at the age of 15, she said it, a young buck selling drugs and such, and he's like, it's been 22 long, hard years, and I'm still struggling. So it's just the way life is in the ghetto. It's fast-paced, and there are those pressures of being like everyone else and growing up faster.
Yep, and in conclusion, this